Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 80 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Joey, Nick, and Jackson. Guys, how are you doing today?
Going good, going great.
What's up, fellas? Hey, everybody. If you're watching for the first time, I just want to introduce the last member of our podcast, Uncle Unk. Some people call him Unk.
It's
Uncle
not my
Jackson
name.
Gat. No,
It's not my name. My name is the Prediction God. If you've never been on this before, nobody competes with me when it comes to predictions. I'm the best at it. Best
Unk
there ever
PG
was,
is already
ever will
taken.
be. If you ain't first, you're last. Voted Ricky Bobby. Thank you.
Okay, then. Well, today we've got another action packed episode. Not as crazy as last episode, where we finally had a whole lot of things to talk about. But today we are going to go through questions 6 through 10, the second of our 30 key question preview series before we get back to the regular season. Although, first of all, before we get into the questions, couple things. First of all, preseason basketball is back today as we are releasing this episode with some Abu Dhabi action. 12 o'clock noon, the Celtics and Nuggets. I am so happy. I cannot wait for preseason basketball. I have been waiting so long for basketball to come back.
I'm
I was
so
just
ready.
gonna say, Jason Tatum's finally gonna get on the court for a team in another country, since he didn't do that in Paris or Abu Dhabi the first time.
Gosh, that was just so funny.
Joe Jackson.
Like,
So good for him. Good for the Celtics. We'll see what happens. Probably won't play too much, anyways.
Yeah, just super excited to have basketball back. But second, Joey, welcome back. Couldn't have you on
Yes.
last episode for that action-packed video.
Want to listen to it? Great episode, guys. Sorry I couldn't make it. That was an episode I was really looking forward to as well, especially because I talked about D Rose, and that was one of my favorite players growing up and watching. So that one hurt that I couldn't share that moment with y'all, but I'm here. I'm ready. Let's get these questions going.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you guys want to hear, the rest of our opinions of the crazy trade that just happened, go check out the last episode. Or we released a 30-minute around there, full breakdown of that trade. But Joey was not on there. So we will get to Joey's opinions later on in the video with some of these questions that we got. So let's get right into it with question number 6. Going back to the offseason a little bit for these first two. Question number 6. What was the best move of the off season? And Joey, since you weren't on last time, let's start with you. What was the best move of the 2024 off season?
The best move of the offseason for me was the GFF trading Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks.
I like that. I like that. That's a bit of an underrated one.
It's
underrated.
We haven't had a lot of like
that's not even the best move they
crazy.
made.
What?
That's not even the best move they made.
I don't know,
Best
man.
Best
Full
move
on.
they made was getting their draft picks back.
True.
That's true.
That is true. That is fair. That I don't know. GFF in general has had a really good offseason. Full tank mode, getting their draft picks.
So you just like the haul that they got back for Mikal Bridges?
For Mikal Bridges and moving them on. Yeah. 4 unprotected first round picks.
Yo.
Like, come on. The Knicks
Yeah.
are good right now, but are they going to be good in 6 years?
Yes.
And then getting their own first round picks back. I think that's a good one. That's a good underrated one. The Brooklyn Nets getting their picks back because they were not in a very good position, and now I think we could all agree that even though we make fun of them being the GFF, they are in a good position. They are in a good position, even though they could definitely be the worst team in the league this year record wise. So that's a good one to start with this off.
Many trades and stuff in the past. That's why
they're the GFF.
Exactly why they're the GFF. So I have to applaud them, and it looks extra spectacular in my eyes when they actually make the right moves.
Garbage fire franchise for anyone new here that
Oh,
doesn't know what
yeah.
the Brooklyn Nets are. You know what? After this episode, I'm gonna make like a graphic that will just pop up every time we talk about the Brooklyn Nets, so we don't have to keep repeating it over. But I like that. That's a good first one. Jackson, let's go to you next. What was the best move of the offseason in your opinion?
I think it's a very under the radar one. I think it's Isaiah Hartenstein signing with the Thunder. I think he is the perfect player that they could have gotten this offseason for what they needed, because they needed a big man who can rebound. And he is arguably one of, if not the best rebounding big men in the league right now. Because him on the offensive glass last year was something, it was honestly a joy to watch. He was just so good. And I think you could pair him alongside Chet in the starting lineup, and I think that's going to do wonders for not only Chet, but just that entire offense and that entire defense.
Yeah, I do think that's really literally the only question the Thunder have going into the season is what will they do with their starting lineup, and I think they'll probably be flexible with it. Like they might use Hartenstein versus bigger matchups for the right teams, and then maybe just have Chet in there at the 5 and bring Hartenstein off the bench for like teams like the Pelicans who don't have they have Daniel Tice at the 5, but don't necessarily have like a big lineup. So I think they can be flexible, and they talked about. I was listening to the Hoop Collective. They talked about how it didn't feel like the team had any pressure on them. Tim McMahon was talking because he was at the press conference for the training camp, the media day, and he was talking about how it, or I think Windhorst was there, one of them, whatever, and he was just talking about how the team didn't feel like they had any pressure on them to like get it this year, but obviously their eyes are on winning a championship probably.
Yeah, absolutely. The Isaiah Hartenstein thing, that's what I said for best offseason move as well. Just because I think that this move, even though it's not the biggest name that got switched this offseason, I think it could have the biggest impact on who wins the championship next year, just because this completely, unlocks the Thunder's potential, now that they have addressed their biggest weakness, which was the lack of just a big guy out there that can rebound. And now they have Chet that can play the 4 now at this point. Now that Hartenstein's in there, they can switch lineups around. Caruso, that's another huge move that they made. But I think that the Hartenstein signing in particular is what could unlock this team becoming even scarier than they were last year.
This Thunder team I have going really far this year. I definitely Hartenstein and Caruso, they're so versatile with what they can do with their lineups and stuff. They're going to be fun this year. That's a great pick for best offseason move.
Yeah, they just have a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nick, how about you? What was the best offseason move for you?
So I've been drinking the Phoenix Suns juice since you guys
Oh no.
a couple episodes ago. I know I had them in the play-in. I had them ranked 10th in the West. I still think they will be in the play-in. I don't think they'll be a top 6 seed at the end of the year, but I know you all had them a lot further up. So I think Tyus Jones is going to make a big difference for them this year, and I think that was the biggest move of the offseason for me.
Biggest move? Interesting. That's interesting. Very interesting.
It was a big move.
Yeah.
I mean, the same way Hartenstein is going to unlock the Thunder in a lot of ways, I think Tyus Jones might be able to do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, another one we got to talk about is Paul George to the Sixers, I think.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
it's Paul George going to a new team on a huge deal. That's a team that's contending with a former MVP at the helm. So,
Whoa.
yeah,
Whoa, he actually said it. He actually said it.
I mean, it's true. He won. I don't agree with the win of the MVP, but he won an MVP. So,
all right, that's.
I have never heard Jackson ever not refer to Embiid as some sort of insult. As not some sort of insult. Like it's always something you got to say about him, and you just say he's former MVP.
I did have those two on my list. I had Tyus and I had PG side by side.
Yeah, Paul George, I mean, he was, I would say, the best player move this
So thank you for
offseason.
mentioning it.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm surprised that we didn't mention this one earlier about it being the best offseason move because it's the best player that moved this offseason going to an Eastern Conference contender and making them even better. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to watch that team, play. I don't think that it'll be amazing this first year. After the last few seasons, I've kind of taken a step back when it comes to quote unquote year one teams or year one experiments with what we've seen with the Suns, the Bucks, last season. But I definitely think moving forward, Sixers, they are going to be so scary in the Eastern Conference once they figure all that chemistry out.
For
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely.
Paul George back in the East. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, definitely exciting. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. We were a bunch of positive Pete's to start the episode. Now, switching over to question number 7, going from best to worst. What was the worst offseason move this season? Jackson, let's get started with you. What did you have as the worst move of the offseason?
I was looking and I didn't really see too many bad off-season moves. Like there weren't crazy amount. So I have 2. I have the Rockets giving Brooklyn their picks back because I still just don't understand. I mean, maybe you're cool. You're trying to go for Kevin Durant, but I don't know. I just don't understand it. And that one's kind of just like off to the side one. But I think the Wizards trading Denny, I still don't understand that fully. I mean, I think getting Bob Carrington was a nice little haul back, but like, I don't know. Denny was starting to like kind of become a focal point in that offense, and I think he was getting a lot better quickly. And I think losing him for Brogdon, who's like an older guy who doesn't really fit this team's timeline, and again, Bob Carrington, maybe like I think it could be a good pick for them or a good trade for them in the future, but I don't know. I think Denny was really starting to like find his stride with the Wizards. So I don't.
That was definitely my second pick outside of the one I have as my worst offseason move. But that Denny was finally starting to hit his groove. Great job by Portland for getting him and unloading Brogdon and whatever. But like, I don't know, man. Wizards. You had 2 other guys I thought you should have traded from before Denny, at least.
Yeah, that was the thing that was so confusing. I think that what they got in exchange for Denny, getting Brogdon is decent, veteran guy, can play the similar role that Tyus Jones did last year, and Bob Carrington plus future picks. I think that was good. It's just the fact that it was Denny Avdia that was traded because I think you could make the argument that he was their best player last year, or most consistent player. Besides, Kyle Kuzma maybe, but we kind of expect the scoring from Kuzma. Denny really was starting to show a lot of different things on both ends of the floor. And I think that it was just confusing why they traded Denny Avdia before they traded Kyle Kuzma. That I think is what made no sense. But no, great move by the Blazers, and that's definitely one of the moves that I had being the worst. My worst offseason move was actually a move that didn't get made, and it was the Clippers not trading Paul George to Golden State, which was up in the air. They decided not to do it. The Golden State Warriors, they offered some of their young players, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and some first round picks to the Clippers for Paul George. Would have been a sign and trade. But the Clippers didn't want to trade Paul George to a division rival. So instead, they end up losing him for nothing, which I think is definitely the worst move for a team that doesn't have any of their draft picks. They're all with Oklahoma City from the Paul George trade 5 years ago. And they're a team that still has James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, a team that I think still does want to compete a little bit. So to me, the worst move was the Clippers just losing Paul George for nothing when they could have gotten some nice young pieces back from Golden State.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That was one of my worst moves was just the Clippers losing PG in general. And yeah, you saying that they had an offer that was in the works with Golden State that obviously would have been a much better outcome than what ended up happening. My second pick for this question kind of ties into a question that we talked about last time. It was either the second or third one that we had on our list, but it was the team under the most pressure, and I said the Nuggets. And the reason is that they lost KCP, and I thought that was one of the worst moves this offseason because that was a core guy that they had in one of their starting five from a championship roster that had continuity and was together for a couple of years, really playing well. There was one game that kept them out of the conference finals. And, yeah, it was those two moves, losing guys that were core to your system there in LA and in Denver.
With the Denver one, it doesn't help because you switch. Even though I like Russell Westbrook, but you replace KCP with Russell Westbrook doesn't like quite fit the same role.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm with you on that one. That's losing those guys. For me, it's if you're counting those ones, I would probably have to say it ties into this year, I guess, as well. It's the Bulls. The Bulls losing DeMar DeRozan, and if they lose Zach LaVine for nothing,
Yeah, sure.
because they brought those guys in to like at least contend for a playoffs, and it obviously didn't work. And there've been talks about those two trades for like the last 2 to 3 years because everyone knew it wasn't going to work, and the Chicago just kind of kept holding on and believing and seeing. I do think they'll trade Zach LaVine this year, possibly, because the full-on tank mode. Hopefully, they finally go into this rebuild. But if they don't, if you lose both those guys for nothing, you could have got something.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing with the KCP thing, it obviously does suck, but also sucks because the Nuggets, they really couldn't do much to keep him. I mean, the money was in Orlando, so they were able to give him the better offer, and he chose the better offer. And Zach LaVine, I'm not sure if teams were offering trades for him because of the contract and the injury thing. That's why the Clipper one just stood out to me because they had an offer and they just didn't take it.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is just super hard. Is there any other moves that you guys thought about when it came to worst offseason moves?
No, Joe, I'm glad you brought up the Bulls because those all kind of tie into each other. Just losing guys for nothing when you had other options.
You hear about it every year. It's like, hey, man, if you're not going to make the playoffs and you only got like a year or two left of one of your star guys, it's maybe time to move them to get like a good haul because it's a rental for that team. Or they can re-sign. But you always do that trade. You should always do it because then it bites you in the ass like it will with all these guys.
Yeah, like you look at what the Bulls ended up getting. It was Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks for DeMar DeRozan.
You could have traded him 2 years ago for at least like a first or something like that. Like even if it was like top 5 protected, you could easily have gotten a first-round pick for DeMar DeRozan or at least a young, promising guy with potential, and not like Duarte where you're already loaded up on guards in Chicago.
Yeah. If you're them, you'd rather get Harrison Barnes back in that deal, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, though.
Yeah, I mean, the Spurs got a starter back
for
nothing. Like, they didn't even trade anything besides, a second-round pick. The Bulls got less back for their all-star than the Spurs got for nothing.
Literally.
That's incredible. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, let's move on to question number 8 here. A little more of a fun question. Our favorite new uniform heading into this season. And now jerseys and uniforms, I think that we can all agree that they have been getting steadily worse as the years have gone by, but there are definitely still some fun ones out there that I think we can all appreciate. So Nick, let's start with you. What is your favorite city jersey or favorite new jersey coming into the season?
Well, I had to go back a couple episodes and watch when we talked about them being unveiled in episode 74, 75 or something like that. And it was all the city ones that I was looking at again because those I thought were really some of the better ones that came out. And I was hoping that someone else had picked the one that I got because I really liked it. I know a couple of you guys did too, but I got the Memphis City ones, the throwback like
Ooh.
dark red and sort of like white creamy. No titty, but it just looks nice with the cursive.
It reminds me of like the old Christmas jerseys that they used to have. My friend,
those are
my
tight.
friend Trey used to have the Kyrie Cavs cursive jersey for the Christmas Day games. That reminds me of it. I like this jersey a lot.
Yeah, it's a good, solid jersey.
You guys didn't pick it? What the heck?
No, definitely
I
not.
did not.
I did
We
not.
might
I
have
did
some
not
better
either. But
jerseys.
this was my number 2. I
Okay,
can
Ooh.
definitely
I'll take
say
that.
that. This was my number 2.
Definitely top 5 for me.
All right.
Jackson, how about you? What is your favorite New Jersey?
Oh, it's gonna be mud pick.
My favorite.
Everybody,
My favorite.
Jackson just has
like,
bad taste.
dude, chill on me, will ya? I
I'm
actually
just trying to
picked 2.
prepare. Sorry.
I picked 2 that I think are like kind of both that are both up there. I like the new Raptor City edition jerseys.
Oh, damn,
I
that's a
think
good
it's
one.
just sweet, and actually right below it, the Utah Jazz. I think that those are so clean too. I think they're just too like, especially the Jazz posted the pictures of all like their players in that, and they looked so clean on everybody. So
Yeah,
I think
except they
those 2
posted
are.
it. Yeah, with the guy who doesn't even touch the court for him.
All right, bro, chill, will ya?
Jackson, I
This
really
is
like
not.
those picks. Those are 2 of my favorite jerseys as well.
Yeah, so zip your lip, Buttercup. I don't need to hear from you anymore.
Buttercup. Ooh.
Keep talking about them, please.
I also picked I picked the Raptor City edition as well.
Yeah.
Because like look at that. It is I love dinosaurs. A lot of people love dinosaurs, and look at this. This is sick. But also the ones they debuted for a media day, I think today or yesterday or something like that, with just the all purples.
That
The
was
all
mine.
purple ones.
That was mine.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love
no.
it. I love
They
them.
did do jerseys.
Yeah, they're so clean.
The classic jerseys that they're bringing back. When I think of the Raptors, I just think of the purple, red, and white
Yeah.
or silver or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
love these jerseys so much. I love the dinosaurs too. That's why one of my favorite jerseys of all time is, of course, the purple dinosaur.
I was
That
gonna say the
combines them
purple with
both
the dinosaur.
together.
Yeah. The Vince Carter T-Mac days.
Yes, absolutely. I think. Well, shout out to the Raptors, man. I know they may not have the best record this season, but they've got our favorite jerseys for the most part.
Yeah, they
Hey,
got
I had
2
him in
good
the plane.
Oh yeah, Nick does have them in the play-in, the highest ranking. But yeah, let us know in the comments your favorite New Jersey coming in. There are definitely some solid ones out there.
I gotta see Chris Bosh in a purple with the Toronto jersey.
Oh, yes.
Chris Bosh.
Love Chris Bosh.
That Raptors number 4 jersey. I mean, that's basically what you get.
What's Scotty's now?
It is definitely Scotty's now.
Scotty
But now, question number 9, our second award question of the series. Last episode we did Rookie of the Year. This one is Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year for this upcoming season. I'll get started with this one, or it might be Mr. Lemoncello. He might be the coach of the year heading into the season. But for me, it is a team that I'm so looking forward to watching this season. It is Charles Lee and the Charlotte Hornets. I'm just super excited to see what this team can do this season. We've talked about them a lot. I think that this team in the East has. I mean, I would be surprised if the 8 teams that made it last year didn't make it back this year. But if there was any lottery team from the East to make it this year, to me, the Hornets is the pick for this because, they've got a defensive coach with Charles Lee now who's incorporating that leadership. They've got more defensive players. They have the young talent. Their starting lineup, as we just saw, very well-rounded with LaMelo, Josh Green, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams. Question, we've said it a whole bunch of times. It comes down to their health because that's been the Achilles heel of the Charlotte Hornets the last couple of years. But to me, if this team can make it in the plan, I have them 9th. If they could make it even higher and just have a better record than a lot of people expect, I think that definitely gives him a good shot. Because some of these other teams, I feel like they will be expected to kind of make it in the higher rankings. I'm sure any team, all the coaches that you guys are going to pick, it's going to be from the surprise teams that we all have for the upcoming season.
Let me ask you this: do you think Charlotte is going to win 30 games this year?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Unless
Yeah,
again, unless there's injury, this team is I think is a lock for 30 wins if they're healthy.
Do you want to bet our draft picks for next fantasy season on it?
I will bet that right now.
Our draft slots, whatever they are.
Can we do that for the Suns, please? Please, can we do that for the Suns?
You can just have whichever one. So, like, if I get 4 and you get 8, you can have 8 or 4. You get the rights to mine. Because I don't think Charlotte's going to win 30 games because, like I said, it's second year one for them. Like, they all got to figure out how to play with each other because no one was there last year, and they got a brand new coach, and they're in a much more stronger East than it was last year.
Miles, if I were you, I'd take that bet.
I think they can hit 30 wins. They can hit it.
Max,
I think it'll be close. It's
34
very
is a
tough
ceiling
for a new coach, like what Nick is saying. I agree with him. That's why I think it's going to be very tough for that team to make the play-in because
you have them in the play-in.
2 years away, 1 or 2 years more away.
Don't you have them in the play-in?
Yes, Joey did have him in the play-in as well. I'm just high on this Hornets team. I think that there's always a team that's in the lottery the previous year that jumps up. To me, the Hornets scream that for me. But again, it comes down to health. If they're healthy, I'd be disappointed if they didn't win 30 games or 35 games. I think this team is going to have a huge improvement. And like with what you're saying, Nick, you're not expecting them to be that good. If they get to 35, 40 wins, Charles Lee is going to be in the top 3 for Coach of the Year because no one's expecting it. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, no, if they do that, 100%, he should be in the conversation.
All right, just saying.
And you offered the bet, man. The bet is up.
The bet is up, sure.
Cat's out of the bag.
All right, well, my pick for this Coach of the Year question was, again, I've been drinking the Jackson Goggling juice here with the Orlando Magic because I got Jamal Mosley being the Coach of the Year because I think the Magic are going to be much improved. I think they're going to be battling for home court advantage towards the end of the playoffs. And, Paolo is going to be great. Franz Wagner is hopefully going to look a little bit better. And they really improved a lot from the year before last year. And what was that his first year last year?
That was his third season.
Yeah, he's been there for a minute.
All right. Well, he's been building something great then. Put it that way.
That's my pick too. Thank you.
All right, bet.
What position do you guys think they're going to finish in the East?
Well, Jackson now has them 3.
Oh,
I think I had them 6.
I did change them to 3 because of the big trade that happened. I think the Knicks are going to finish 1, Celtics at 2. Thank you.
So, Nick, if the Orlando Magic go from the 5th seed to the 6th seed, which is what you're predicting, that's enough for Coach of the Year if they go down a spot in the rankings.
Exactly. That's never how it works.
You're going to put it that way. I think that's unfair.
It's completely unfair, but I'm just saying. That's how a lot of people are going to look at it.
Well, that's just how the award works, though. That's how the award works. It goes to the team that gets better.
The Magic have a good shot to be fighting for home court advantage, and if they get home court advantage, then he's going to be top 3.
They almost had home court advantage this year. They were fighting for.
I have a second one.
Okay.
I don't think it's just about improvement. I think it's about the overall structure of the team, and they're going to be strong in their second year as well. Second year fight. I don't know. All right, whatever.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah. Since they moved down for me from 1 to 3, I think I had to kind of change my mind a little bit. I think it's going to be either Tibbs or Budenholzer for the Suns.
I like Budenholzer a lot for this award.
I think Budenholzer is going to win it because I think they're going to finish it 2. I think at this point, people are expecting the Knicks to be either 1 or 2. So I don't think Tommy T is going to win it. But I think if the Suns finish it too, it's going to be kind of what Miles said. Like, nobody's really expecting them to finish that high. So I think Budenholzer's going to win if they finish it too.
That's a good pick with Budenholzer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this award the last several seasons. Last year, Mark Daigneault with OKC, a team no one expected to be the 1 seed. Previous year, it was Joey's boy Mike Brown on the 3-seeded Sacramento Kings. Then it was Monty Williams on a 64-win Suns team.
Who's he coaching for? Oh, nobody.
Nobody now. But no, it is an award that goes to, it goes to a team that gets a lot higher than they were expected. And Joey, I have a feeling that yours is going to fall right into that category.
Mine is 100% going to fall right into that. It's a team that I am very high on based on the standings, and it was my big hot take when we were doing our prediction videos for the East. And I have the Atlanta Hawks at like the 5th seed, and I have Quinn Snyder, the head coach for the Atlanta Hawks, winning. Because if you lose a player like DeJounte, like on paper, that's huge. But like I think it's all addition by subtraction. I think the chemistry on this team, I think they're going to click. Trae Young is going to become an MVP candidate again, like he used to, and was crushing the Knicks' hopes and dreams back in the day. I'm waiting for that moment again, and I think it's going to be this year. And I think Quinn Snyder, he was a hell of a coach in Utah. I loved what he did in Utah back in the day with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. So I think he can definitely do it. I believe in him. He's done it before. He can do it again.
Yeah, look, I think something that's going for your Hawks prediction, Joey, is that something that I have been bad with over the last several years is I'm always a year too early with predicting teams. Last year, I was high on the Hawks. I think I predicted Quinn Snyder to win Coach of the Year last year. The previous season, I predicted the Timberwolves and Magic to make jumps. They did that a year later. So, hey, maybe the trend continues, and that's the Atlanta Hawks this season. Kind of tying into the Hawks and even Mike Budenholzer, you were saying, Jackson, earlier. If Budenholzer were to win it, which I hadn't really thought about a whole lot. He definitely has one of the better shots to win the award. If he were to win it, it would be his 3rd Coach of the Year with 3 different teams, which would make him only the 2nd coach ever. Pat Riley is the only coach.
Hawks, Bucks, and then Suns.
Then the Suns, if that were to happen. And I think there is a legit chance that could happen. But I think that all of our picks do have a chance, because even like the Magic, if they do jump, Jamal Mosley could be in the running once again for sure.
I got a question for you guys though.
Yes.
I know a lot of you guys, like we talked like in the over-under episode, you talked about how the Celtics were going to be, like some of you said you could see them winning 70 games. If they win 70 games, is Joe Mazzulla just automatically Coach of the Year?
No.
No. I feel like he's automatically.
I think you automatically if you win 70 games.
No.
70 plus. How?
They were the best team in the world last year.
Steve Kerr
in the regular season and the playoffs.
Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year when they won 73 games, and he didn't coach half the season. So if you win 70 games, you're automatically the coach of the year.
You're right. He will get it, but like that's stupid. It's stupid. Shows no progress.
It is interesting because you could also say the best coach in the NBA, Greg Popovich, is on one of the worst teams. It's just funny how that dynamic, can definitely work.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Also, another dark horse is Ime Udoka.
Stop. Okay. All right, we're done. We're done.
Anywhere above 6. How is he not? Or 6 or above? How is he not a guy? I mean,
he would be. He would be. I think
he would be if they were good.
I just don't think the Rockets will finish that high, but I think that's a decent.
No, I don't either. But I'm saying if he does, like you guys said, he's a dark horse. Okay.
No. If they were good, if the Rockets were good, he would do it. Yes, he would 100% get it.
They're gonna be decent. Okay, they're gonna be like 8th or 9th seed. Okay.
They'll be a 43 win team. I'll put them at 43 wins.
It's fine.
You willing to bet your draft picks on that?
Nope, no, I'm not betting my draft picks. Very well see them being a 43-win team.
All right, let's get into our final question of the video. Question number 10. Another one looking ahead to the season. Who will be the biggest name traded this season? This is one, it really just depends on the year. It depends on the situation. Last season, you could say it was either James Harden or Pascal Siakam getting traded. The year before, we got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And that, and then there are some seasons where like it's just not the biggest name. It's like a
I think
washed
D'Lo was
version
the
of Isaiah
biggest one
Thomas.
year, right?
What was that, Jackson?
Wasn't D'Lo the biggest like a couple years ago when he got traded from Minnesota?
Yeah, when he got traded from Golden State to Minnesota. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest name. Yeah, so it definitely varies by season. Let's see. Jackson, why don't you get us started again? Who will be the biggest name traded this season?
Yeah, this is one I had a lot of trouble with just because it's just like it's hard to predict things like this, like who's going to get traded, unless like obviously you do it 5 months in advance, but that's besides the point. Sorry, what are you putting your hands up for? I'm talking about the
How is
Cat
it?
Randall
How
trade.
are you saying in the beginning of the episode? Yes, it's me, Jackson Goglin, the prediction god. 30
I
minutes
just
later, man, this is a really hard one to predict.
like the one, unless you do it 5 months in advance. About that's whatever. Okay, I predicted Cat
Okay.
and Julius 5 months ago. That's what I'm saying. It went right over your heads. Shut up. Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like based on my rankings, I had the Clippers being at 12. So I think in terms of big names, I think it's going to be James Harden again. Just because James Harden still is a big name in the NBA. He's not necessarily the best player, but he's still a big name. Like if he gets traded, people are going to talk about it like he's like it's a crazy thing.
You know who's
Because
a
he's
bigger
James
name in the
Harden.
NBA than James Harden? He's got a bigger name in
What?
the NBA.
Oh.
Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey.
Got him out of Philly.
This dude just enjoys
Obviously, he
getting
has more pull.
Yeah, but all right. Yeah, but that's mine. I just had trouble with this. I didn't really because I
Sorry,
don't think any big names are necessarily going to get traded.
I think it's going to be a dead year as well.
you could be right.
I think it's going to be one of those slower years, I think. And I think if anyone big name, it's going to be James Harden because James Harden still is a draw. He's still a guy that is a big name. I mean, like just based on his popularity, but yeah, it's probably who I'd have to go with. I don't know.
Yeah, as far as big name, yeah, I guess I can't really argue with that. I mean, James Harden, he would be the biggest name probably traded this season, just because it seems like a lot of guys are kind of set with where they are right now. Personally, me, I'd be shocked if James Harden got traded this year, considering he just re-signed. It's the Clippers' first year in their new big building. I don't think
Yeah.
they would trade away a name like that in the first year of their big building, regardless of if the Clippers win games or not. And I honestly think that James Harden is going to play pretty well this season. I think the numbers will be better. I think, in training camp, he's talked about him having the ball more, him scoring more. He looks back in shape again, which I guess we could say we're at that point of the off season. I remember showing you guys that we're now at that point of the off
Ben
season where
Simmons is also in shape right now, guys.
that is fair. Ben Simmons is also in shape, but yeah, man, if
Still
James
drafting
Harden got
him, too.
traded, that'd be insane. Talk about a guy who is now one of the biggest journeyman stars, in recent memory. He's been
Him and Russell
flopping
Westbrook,
teams.
man, crazy.
Him, Russell Westbrook, and KD, that OKC trio getting traded
Green.
all over the country.
Jeff Green.
Oh, we love Jeff Green.
We do love Jeff Green around here.
Love Uncle Jeff Green. But yeah, I think, especially Miles, you said he might be playing well. If he's playing well and they're still bad, I think they might move him while his value's high, especially because they are a team who needs first round picks.
That is true.
All their first round picks are gone for like the next 5 or 6 years still. Something crazy like that. But yeah,
Right.
I'd be surprised too if he got traded. But I really, looking at the landscape of the NBA right now, I couldn't think of anyone else.
Yeah, that's
Like literally nobody else. Like I was thinking maybe Michael Porter Jr. something like that too. But even then, like I don't think Denver's gonna blow that, like, or trade him just yet if they trade him.
And I think that'd be an off-season thing too. I think it'd be a similar thing to
Yeah.
what the Timberwolves had to deal with last off-season, just because they have so many players under contract and not enough depth. I think that Porter's the only way to get the depth. But before we move on to the next guy, the Clippers and their future draft picks. Anyone want to take a guess at when the Clippers have their next first-round pick?
Actually, I think it's way later than that. I think
2032.
I was gonna
That's
say
what I was thinking.
2031.
It's 2030, which is still
that's
still
still
6
bad.
years.
That's
That is still
ridiculous.
6 years.
That's so bad. It's just poor management, honestly.
Yeah.
OKC's licking their chops after that Paul George trade.
And if I were the Clippers, I still would have done that
I
trade.
still would have done that 100%.
Every single time.
You have Kawhi coming in. You have Paul George coming in. You have to do it. You have to.
If COVID didn't happen, they definitely could have won a title that year. I
think
definitely
they would have.
believe that.
Yeah.
It definitely
And
would
then
have been
Luka had a
crazy.
game winner on them in the bubble. But I mean, yeah, I think, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey,
But what are
who
the
is your big name getting traded?
I'm kind of with Goglin where I don't think it's going to be a big name. It's going to be important players like it always is, like role players or semi-stars that like they always show good promise. It's nothing going to be huge. I think it's going to be personally. I think it's going to be Jordan Poole. But it's going to be either of those guys on Washington. I think it's either going to be Kuzma or Poole. My vote is Poole. But yeah, one of those guys, like those guys are still good players and can contribute on a playoff contending team. As much as I love dogging on the both of them, especially Jordan Poole, he's still a solid player and can help a lot of teams out. So I don't know. I don't know where he would go.
Yeah,
I don't know where he would fit.
the contract makes it tough to trade.
That's
the
all.
only thing
Like I don't know where, but like I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a feeling.
I think Kuzma's more likely to be traded anyways, and I think he's probably a bigger name too, just like mainstream media looking at that. Because Kuzma is like very famous, like looking at it, his Instagram followers, his like all that. He's like he's just. I think he's more famous than Poole. I think he's more mainstream. I think he's well known. So.
Why do we care about famous? We're talking about bigger name. Like we care about.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
that's kind of what Jackson. That is kind of what Jackson.
Not famous. I don't care how many Instagram followers. You know who has more Instagram followers than anybody? Than any of them, probably Ben Simmons. And if he gets traded, he's still not a bigger name because that man is absolute hot garbage.
Not true, but okay.
All right, Nick.
Goglin, I'm a fighty.
Let's go. Put the gloves on. Let's go.
Nick, you go ahead.
All right, so my prediction is actually it's kind of a cheat because I don't know who this player is going to be traded for, but I think the player that I'm about to name is going to be traded for someone bigger than them, and I don't know who that is. So that's kind of how I'm cheating.
Okay.
I like that. That makes sense.
Okay, but so following like the trend that's been going on in the league, in the West, Minnesota and Dallas both kind of traded to get better than Denver. They had to find a Jokic stopper. They had to trade in Rudy Gobert and just get bigger. It's teams, trying to stop Denver, trying to stop Boston. The Knicks are doing that right now. Philly's kind of working on that. So I think Indy is bound to make another move. I think Indy's going to go for another big swing, and I don't know who they're going to target, but I think that Miles Turner is a guy who's been in a lot of talks. So that's who I'm going with is Miles Turner.
I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, on the final year of his contract, too, he'd have a lot of value for the team he'd be traded to, for sure. Joey, do you have an idea of
Miles Turner for Al P?
Oh, goodness gracious. No,
Dude,
I actually
just piss me off, bro. Shut up. Shut up. Like, that's stupid.
The Miles Turner thing, I was going to ask you guys, I guess in kind of relation to that, last season, especially during trade deadline time, like the bigger names, the Hardens, the Siakams, the Ananobis, they got traded before the deadline. When we got to the deadline, the big trade that we like really focused on was the Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks to New York, and then eventually the biggest moves from that were the PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford to Dallas trades. We didn't really prepare for this, but are there any guys out there, kind of like PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford, guys that are on those current lottery teams that you could see getting moved at the deadline that could have legit impacts on contending teams?
I'm thinking right off the bat, kind of like a Vucevic for the Bulls or something like that. I know they're, like I said, I don't know why they would still hang on to Zach LaVine, but I think they will for some reason because they can't find a trade partner or something or what they want. But I think Vucevic is one that like still has a lot of value in the league. He's a scorer, he's a rebounder, he's a decent guy in the middle to defend a little bit. Like I don't know what his contract situation is, but just thinking teams that have good players that aren't going to be very good and don't want to be very good, he's definitely one I think of.
Yeah, he's a guy that Bulls fans I know love to, just harp on. They do that a lot with the big guys there in Chicago. It was the same with Boozer and
Yeah.
Markkinen when he was drafted there. It was kind of the same thing. But contract wise, he's got 2 years left. He's making 20 million per, which is solid for a guy giving you 18 and 10.
Yeah.
He had a brutal year shooting the tray ball last year, just 29%. But we know him to be a little bit better than that. The biggest name I have traded this season, it is Zach LaVine, actually, from the Bulls. Just because I think that, his contract, it is still, I'm very sure it's still, very expensive. I want to try to find the years he still has remaining on that. Still 3 seasons at 43, 45, 49 million
Yeah.
dollars. Tough deal to move, absolutely. But I feel like the Bulls will look to trade him as they have been the last few seasons. And they're going to, I think we talked about it a little bit in the team preview, how the Bulls are a team that could potentially be competitive the first half of the year because they're showcasing LaVine and Vucevic
Right.
to potentially
Oh,
trade.
yeah.
And Zach LaVine is a guy that, besides last season, which was pretty bad, we could all say it was 19, 5, and 4. And we were all just like, man, this is not at all what we, are used to seeing from Zach LaVine. Because the previous 5 seasons of his career, his baseline mark was 24 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, which is awesome. So I think that if he can get back to that level, maybe it's 23, 4, and 4, and a team is looking for that potential third scorer, then Zach LaVine could be a potential guy to be on the move. Because I think that it'd be worth the risk of the contract if he was putting up those numbers middle of the season. I understood why teams didn't want to take him last year because he was pretty bad last year. If he's good, then it makes it easier for teams to take on that massive contract.
100%. That makes sense.
Orlando Magic would be a perfect place for him.
Yes, dude. Zach LaVine on the Magic would be crazy. I could see that happening too. A Franz Wagner, Zach LaVine trade. It'd be crazy if the Bulls and Magic did a swap after they did an initial swap with Vucevic.
Oh, Vucevic and Wendell, yeah.
That would be crazy, but it would make a lot of sense. And I know the Bulls, they just have so many guards on that team.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, Zach LaVine is probably going to start playing like the 3. It's just going to be a crazy
I think
start to the season.
I'd rather start Giddey at the 3. He's bigger.
Yeah,
he could be kind of like an Avdia type guy.
I could definitely see that. They're going to have to experiment a lot. But a low-key guy that is also on the Bulls roster, I definitely don't think they're looking to trade, but a guy who's very underrated, I guess this is the last thing before we end off, an underrated guy to watch out for, whether it's trade or just to watch, is Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls. Because, I mean, I didn't even realize it myself because I second half of the season, I wasn't really watching a whole lot of Chicago Bulls basketball. But post All-Star break, he was averaging 17 points on 50% from the field, 38% from three. And, post All-Star break, starting all 23 games, 17 points. That's pretty good. And right now, he's definitely coming off the bench. They really don't have a whole lot of room for him to play. So I hope that there's a way that they can showcase him a bit more. Of course, Lonzo's back. That'll be a nice storyline when the season, gets
I love
started.
Matas too. Matas is gonna be so good.
Zealous will definitely be
Dude,
good
I
as
think
well.
I've been thinking like another low key name that would be kind of like a PJ Washington type is maybe like Cam Johnson from the GFF.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shown that he's shown that he's a playoff performer. In the 2021 season with the Suns, he was fantastic in that playoff like magical little playoff run that they had that got Chris Paul addicted to the finals, and luckily Chris Paul's sober, guys. He beat his addiction. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of people. There's a lot of like low key guys on bad teams that like just looking at like Cam Johnson's a guy. I mean, even like Tobias Harris, maybe if a team really
he just
needs
signed
him.
that big contract.
No, I think the
Yeah,
Pistons
so
want to
if he's
keep
playing
him.
well, I mean, never know.
Yeah.
But like just guys that could be on the move. I mean, Lowry Markkanen, if someone gives them the right offer, could be on the move.
Well, he can't be. He literally can't be traded this season.
He just signed a big contract.
Oh, he did. I don't pay attention.
But I think a Brooklyn Nets player is probably, they have a ton of these guys. Like,
dude, Bogdanovic's forehead is huge. Oh my gosh,
Bro.
dude! I never realized that, dude. Bob Ross could paint a whole masterpiece on that thing. Oh
All
my
right.
god! Oh my gosh, dude!
Why?
I don't even know. But
I
no,
just
the
saw it,
Nets,
I'm like,
they have the Bogdanovich big forehead Boyan in Brooklyn. They've Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith, the Cam Johnson. I mean, they definitely have players that could be on the move. Those are probably the right answers to this question. Jakob Poeltl in Toronto is another name that could be moved potentially. But you guys have anything else? Those are all the answers to the questions. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on all these questions, the best and worst offseason moves, favorite jersey. But yeah, you guys got anything else?
Shout out to Cleveland Indians manager or former Cleveland Indians manager Tito Francona for signing to be the new manager of the Cincinnati Reds just like within the last hour.
I thought he retired.
He did because of health reasons, and now he's back managing Cincy coming up this year. He took a year off. His health is better.
Man, okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Are you good? Let's see that forehead. Take off that hat. Let's see it.
All right.
Let's compare it to Bogdan.
Like my forehead's
Okay.
Do the outro.
I think that's the right place. That's the right place to leave it off. That's definitely the right place to leave it off. Well, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.